That, we'll call to order the special meeting of the City of Cottonwood Planning and Zoning Commission on Monday, December 6th, 2021 at 6 p.m. in the City Council chamber. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Garrison?
Present.
Commissioner Shreve?
Present.
Commissioner Kling? Present. Vice Chairman Maston?
Present.
Chairman Williams?
Present. Very good. The next item of business is to approve of meeting of the minutes of our October 18th, 2021 regular meeting. Do I hear any additions, corrections, or any other comments on them? And if not, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Vice Chairman seconds the chairman's motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Now, everybody be sure to press your buttons. When I watched the October meeting, people weren't pressing the buttons all the time. So it gets recorded so the television audience of thousands that are watching us can understand what we're saying here. All right. Okay, our next item is informational reports and updates. Other than myself, I'm real happy to be back in the saddle. It's been a rough couple of months. Many things happening, including some serious health issues, but we're up and kicking and going again, and just happy that we're able to do that, and good to be back here with the commission. Mr. Director, do you have any informational report or updates you need to apprise us of, sir?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commission. Good evening. We're glad to have you back. You mentioned the microphones. Thank you. I was going to go ahead and do that too.
Yes.
But yes, please push your button on your microphone if you're going to speak. We need that for, as Mr. Chairman mentioned, TV audience as well as internal recordings on the hearings. You should have a memo in front of you from Jim regarding the cancellation of the regular December meeting. I would like to thank the Commission for being able to make this special meeting happen. It was very helpful for some of these applicants to get them through the process, so thank you for that. But with that, we won't have our regular December meeting, and the January meeting is pushed back 1 week due to the holiday, so it will be January 24th. Same with the February meeting. It's pushed back 1 week due to the holiday. Just to update the Commission, in November was the second reading of the design guidelines that you had recommended to City Council. They approved it. However, they did make the change back to the 1,500 square feet total area for a restaurant in the CR zone. If that does become a problem, they're open to looking at it as a 1,500 square foot public area as the Commission recommended. So just so you're aware, they made that change back to the original draft. At their November meeting, they also approved the final plat for phase 2 of Mesquite Hills, which is approximately 270 homes for their phase 2, their next one. Might be a little confusing because their phase 1 went phase 1 and then had sub phases, so it got a little confusing, but this is their actual phase 2, and they are going to break it up into additional units to be built out in there. So we're looking forward to that. They did last week get their grading permits to get started.
This is a new builder in there now too.
It is a new builder, yes, sir.
Right. Is this the same one that's doing the Clarkdale? Or?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. It's not? Okay.
And I believe that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any questions of the director? Good. I just want to comment, I understand they're going to have a groundbreaking tomorrow on a long-awaited project. The Inspiration Apartments on 89A for our newer members, 192 units, as I recall. It's been before us several years, as Commissioner Garrison knows also. It's exciting that that's going to start coming out of the ground finally, and should be a great project. All right, our next item is the call to the public. This is a time for the public to comment on any matter that does not appear on our agenda. I don't have any notes, so I assume we're not having anybody wants to talk to us. These are items we can't act on, just listen to you. So we'll move on. Looks like you guys solved all the old business last time, so we don't have to worry about that. And we'll go on to new business. The first item we have is a design review 21010 for the Dairy Queen revisions to their exterior. This was approved a year or so ago on an expanded building, and understand the plans have been revised. Mr. Paget, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Williams, members of the commission. Yes, this is a different project than was considered in 2018, so anything you learned back then, forget it. So this renovation does include some interior and exterior improvements to the existing Dairy Queen located at 102 South Main Street. The existing building is about a 1,650 square foot structure. That's going to remain. The only change to that will be approximately 100 square foot little entryway foyer area. Subject site is zoned C1, as is all the surrounding parcels in that neighborhood. The parking areas on the north and east side of the building are going to be relocated basically to the rear of the building. There are a couple of sites, parking spaces that will be on Ash, and 3 over by the drive-through area. But this remedies some of the existing non-conforming situations, so we think there was the end result is by getting rid of some of that existing parking and landscape areas will be a major improvement. There will be a screen wall constructed along the alley at the parking area. The adjacent property is zoned C1. It is an existing residential use. So even though the C1 zoning, the use is residential. Access to the parking area will be from Main Street headed to the west, or I'm sorry, to the south. The drive-through would be accessed through the alleyway, and that has been looked at and reviewed and considered by Public Works and City Engineer as far as the location of the drive-through and the cars approaching the drive-through. The alley would be improved, the length of the property next to the subject site. So this is on the southwest corner of Main Street and Ash. This is both their site and landscaping plan. You can see on the right side here where Main is currently, there are a few non-conforming parking spaces, and it's just asphalt on that area. On the top side of this exhibit, which is the north side, that's where the existing canopy is, where those vehicles then back out onto Ash Street. Where the parking area is proposed is largely just an unimproved area with the access to the existing drive-through. Here's some photos of the subject site. You can see these parking spaces in front that would be going away, and that's where the some patio tables, some outdoor dining area would be. This is the canopy on the north side that would be removed, and also some landscaping and outdoor dining area. It's the existing rear of the building. You can see where the alley is unimproved. And then looking down the south side of the building where the drive-through. And that will not change. The drive-through location is going, and drive-through window will be remaining the same. Some of these. So here is a architectural rendering of both what the building would look like and the colors that they are proposing. They're creating some soffits on the side of the building so that what we won't have is as much of this roof top equipment visible by having this type of a facade on the building. The west and the north elevation. These are some of the properties surrounding a little office complex to the north and to the south. Across Main Street, there are some retail businesses. This is the residential house on the C1 property located to the rear or to the west of the proposed building. Looking north on Main Street, south on Main Street, and looking down the alley. This is the area that would be improved where I was standing up to approximately this general vicinity right here is where the alley would be improved. So that concludes my comments. I'm available for any questions. We also have the applicant and his agent here, should they
Commissioner
have
Shreve, do you have any
technical
questions
questions.
technical questions?
No, I think it looks like a really good project. Really nice. I have no questions. I like the project. It looks appealing and looks like they've addressed issues that were of concern, so I support it.
Commissioner Kling?
I would agree. Looks like everything is favorable. No questions.
Okay. Commissioner Garrison, any questions of Jim before we go to the applicant? All right,
No questions at this point. Thank you.
all right.
One
Vice
for
Chair.
Jim. There's a note about a 3-foot wall. And I was wondering if that is limited to 3 feet by the city, or if we could recommend that that goes higher.
The wall would be located along here, along the alley. So I think if you went higher, there could be some visibility issues, safety issues from, and there's also the landscaping as part of the
Okay.
buffer.
The reason I ask is just like headlights aiming towards residential and trying to get above trucks because they're lifted.
I think our code now says 4 feet. Is
What
that,
do we do at
Yeah,
Circle K?
Mr. Chairman, Commission, a lot of times 3 feet is the standard, but it is not necessarily a requirement that the commission couldn't address and have do taller if you desire. Yeah.
At the, as I recall, at the Circle K, we had a wall, but the police had an issue on how high they wanted that wall.
I believe that one is 3 feet, maybe
Yeah.
between 3 and 4 feet.
Yeah, and the walls at Starbucks and Baskin Robbins, whatever, there, and also at Dutch Brothers, I don't think those are over 3 feet.
Mr. Chairman, if they are, again, I think they're between 3 and 4, maybe 3.5. I think it's kind of dependent, especially on Starbucks.
Yeah.
I think there's some areas of it where it circles around. It might get a little bit
Might be
taller
a
than
little
3
bit, but
feet. Yeah.
it's pretty much
But
standard.
3 feet is
Yeah.
pretty standard.
Okay. I don't have any questions, Jim. The applicant or agent is here to, No, you're okay, Mr. Chris. Just your name, sir.
Chris Bernosky, I'm the architect on the project, and Aaron Johnson is the owner of the project, or the applicant. I wanted to address the wall. There was a little bit of miscommunication, I guess, between me and the staff. What we'd like to do, and Mr. Johnson has made a deal with the property to the west, is build the wall on his property and make that a 5-foot solid screen fence, preferably out of block, so that we don't have engine noise, car noise headlights, like you say, at night. And he's in contact with that person, and that's what we would like to do. So I think that's a much better solution.
Then the 3 foot,
Well, we wouldn't need a 3 foot.
you wouldn't need a
one-off.
3 foot then.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then we would screen them from noise and light.
Okay. What problems does that cause if we just approve as presented tonight and they change that? Is that something?
Mr.
Change
Chairman, you could put that in and as a stipulation.
Yeah.
That property owner would technically need to get a fence permit though before that wall is installed
Right.
for the property.
All right.
And the applicant's working with them, and they're going to share the cost of that.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like it'd be even better if you could get the
Oh,
cooperation.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That sounds good. Any other thing you need to?
No, I
That was
just
covered?
got to compliment them. I mean, this is an old building. I remember when I moved here in 1979, it was one of the 3 or 4 places that you could get something to eat here.
Yes.
Cottonwood, and they did have a plan a couple years ago, and that was to demolish this building, but that didn't turn out. And so what they've done is stepped up, and they want to do some improvements to this and make it a better dining experience and make it a better place for the whole town.
Right. Good. Questions, sir? Commissioner Shree?
Is that an easement? The alley's an easement, I would assume?
Yes.
And it's part of the subject property? The easement is on the subject property, or is it shared between the 2 properties?
I think these things are dedicated easements that the city owns, actually.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Shreve, it is actually city-owned right-of-way.
Just in question of where that wall would be positioned on the other property.
It's going to be on their property, on the neighbor's property. So it won't be on the easement.
And will you eliminate the wall that's in the plan then, that's on the...
There is no wall
That
there.
wall, that's not a wall there?
No, that's a property line. The wall's going to go on on that side of that property line.
Any other questions, sir? Commissioner Kling? Any questions? Commissioner Garrison, any questions, or Mr. Vodosky?
No questions, just some comments. Mr. Bernowski's done what I believe is just an admirable job with this site and this building. I've been visiting this business since the 70s, and I watched it through the years change and modify and adapt. And every time it did so, it seemed to add as many problems as it took away and created for either the customers or the people that were traveling by this property, either on Ash Street or on Main Street. I can't tell you how many times I've watched cars come out of gear and roll onto Main Street from the front of the building, which was just an atrocious slope. So I think he's done just a fantastic job. The aesthetics are going to be very pleasing. They're going to be very eye-catching. And all of the modifications that are done to the property, specifically with the parking and the outside seating, is just going to make this such a much safer and more efficient use of this space. And I'm really looking forward to this coming about. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Vice Chair, any questions?
No questions.
Chris, it looks like you could also get to the drive-in through window through the parking lot, right, as well, but
Correct. But the order board's there.
the order board's there, okay,
Correct.
so that's
So,
good.
We couldn't
Okay,
really do
you're
that,
gonna-
right.
all
And-
right.
And what I did, if you noticed, how do you, what button? The center
Because
button?
I know that's going to cause some confusion. When I drive through there, I'm going to have to change habit to go.
Oh, yeah, you will. I had the trash enclosure here. I even thought about that. So, and I didn't put an island here
Right.
So that when the trash trucks come through, they can back up and then go out on Main Street. So it's a tight site, and because it's a restaurant, you know, they have a lot of requirements for parking, which they really need. But the main thing that the applicant really wanted to do was develop this outside seating. And in doing so, we talked about the parking, and I suggested that we located it back here. And what we've done is we've changed the entrance. The main entrance historically is here.
Right.
And that doesn't really make any sense with the parking back here. So when we added this part, this is now the main entry. So the handicap spots will be on either side of this walkway. You know, we have to have that 8-foot area for the wheelchairs and stuff. And so they'll come into this new foyer. And the only thing we're really going to do on the inside is rearrange this serving counter to work with this new space.
So you'll have, I assume they could put up some good signage though for that drive-through, so people,
yeah.
Driving through the parking lot thinking they're gonna have drive-through.
Oh, yeah.
That's gonna cost them,
And
for
then
the old timers that go through there all
one
the
other
time.
thing I want to note is that their walk-in cooler
Yeah.
is here, and what we're going to do is we're going to build a fence wall around this to hide all that, and it's going to be at the new parapet height, so it'll hide the
Right.
all the equipment on the roof.
Yeah, just encourage the owner to put a good-sized sign of where the drive-through, how you get there.
Right there.
All right. I think that's fine. I think that's good. Thank you very much. Anybody from the public like to address this item on the agenda? Yeah, yes, sir. You're going to have to come to the podium, and did you fill out one of our inquiry sheets
I
also?
just have a question about the location of this. The Silverado project, I thought was here tonight.
No, it's not. It was taken off the agenda. It'll be discussed at a later date. That's fine, sir. All right. Anybody else? I don't see anybody. I'm going to close the floor to the public. Go back to Commissioner Shree. You want to comment? And again, I think you've pretty much.
No comment.
No more, other than what we're done? Okay, Commissioner Kling?
No, other than I think it's a great use of space and a much needed improvement. It's somewhat awkward as it stands, and I think it's going to achieve all the things it needed, so I'm all for it.
Good. Commissioner Garrison, any other comments, sir?
No, sir. Thanks very much.
All right, Vice Chair.
Really nice to see outdoor seating on Main, encouraging walking on Main. That's great.
Yes, this is really a definite improvement. We were excited about approving the last one, just because we're getting rid of that parking and the redesign of a much more modern building. Yeah, and I hope so too. Yes, that would be good. But anyway, I think it's a great project. I look forward to seeing it done. And Vice Chair will entertain a motion, please.
I move to approve DR 21-010 for Libertas Ventures LLC, Dairy Queen, to modify the site design and exterior renovations located at 102 South Main Street, subject to the following stipulations. 1. The project shall be developed in conformance with the site plan submitted with this application and reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission on December 6, 2021. 2. The project shall comply with Code Review Board requirements dated November 10, 2021. 3. Parking for the project, including bicycle parking, shall be provided in conformance with Zoning Ordinance Section 406, Parking and Loading Requirements. 4. All work within the city rights-of-way, including landscaping, shall require a permit from the City Engineering Department. 5. The project shall be developed in conformance with the Zoning Ordinance Section 407 landscaping requirements. 6. Signs shall require separate permits and meet the standards of Zoning Ordinance Section 405. 7, a certificate of zoning compliance documenting the completion of conditions shall be issued within 24 months from the date of this approval. 8, the project shall construct a 5-foot screening wall on the neighboring property across the city-owned alley with cooperation of the neighboring property owner.
Do any of those stipulations cause you any problems? Anybody? Okay, real fine. Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Commissioner Kling seconds the vice chair's motion. A roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Garrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Shreve,
Aye.
Commissioner Kling, Vice Chairwoman Maston,
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye. Unanimously carried. Good luck. All right. Our next item is another design review, 210111, the Resonator Studio located on Cove Parkway near the intersection of Via Drive. Mr. Paget, the floor is yours again.
Thank you, Chairman Williams, members of the commission. As you stated, this is also a design review application, this one being for Resonator, which is a media business doing different types of media operations. I'll let them explain that to you later in more detail. The site is currently zoned C1. Their proposal is for a 2-story, 7,040 square foot structure on a 32,000 square foot parcel. Structure is proposed to be designed for a media studio. Access to the site will be from Cove Parkway via a 50-foot paved driveway that is a shared access with the adjacent property to the east. I'm sorry, to the south. Structure is a 2-story metal building with a paint palette of red, tan, and slate colors, and those are in your shown on in the packet. The colors are to attempt to break up the large expanse of metal siding, and a small covered entryway is located on the west side of the building facing Cove Parkway. Site's required to provide, or this building and the square footage is required to provide 23 parking spaces, and they are showing 23 on their site plan. Landscape areas do exceed the minimum as required by code. So the subject site, as you can see, is on the east side of Cove Parkway at the intersection with Villa Drive. Cove Parkway, and this exhibit is on the north. This is the 50-foot easement, shared access with a property off to the east, and also provides access to the adjacent property. Landscape plan basically is showing all their landscaping being provided adjacent to the building or at the Cove, along Cove Parkway, so it would be visible driving down the street. The lower level floor plan is broken up in there. This is proposed for one individual use, and this meets their staging and areas that they need for their media studio. The upper floor plan, very similar. This is the architectural renderings that they proposed. The color palette of the red, tan, and a slate color. This west elevation, the one on top, is what would be seen from Cove Parkway. The north elevation from the adjacent vacant parcel. So some of the surrounding areas, this is looking east, right across. This is the subject site right here. So this is standing across Cove Parkway looking back towards the site. And looking from the site back to the southwest, there's adjacent vacant parcel, and there are adjacent commercial office, mostly office uses in that area. Looking off to the north is vacant property. It's ranch land. That is in Yavapai County. The property boundary here is the division between City of Cottonwood to Yavapai County. Property to the south, this is the shared 50-foot driveway coming in, and the property to the south. And looking south on Cove Parkway, looking north on Cove Parkway, and looking up Villa Drive, this would basically be from in front of standing, if you were standing in front of the building. So that concludes my comments. We do have the property owner, Sor Harris, and his architect, Dan Serber, are here this evening. If there are any technical questions we need from...
Yes, I'm going to lead off. Just for information for the commission, Jim, regarding this design review, are there any other industrial metal buildings along in this area, along Cove Parkway or Via Drive that you're aware of?
Along Cove and Villa Drive, they are stucco or block buildings. Right. This would be the only metal building in this vicinity. Okay. and along Cove Parkway.
And I understand, and best I can, looking at the plan, they're just metal panels. There's very little other than that to just a paint job on the metal buildings, right?
Well, that's correct. It would
Yeah.
be a couple different colors of paint. On the west elevation there, that would be the covered porch, covered walkway area would be something breaking up the design of the building. But yes, it's still a metal building.
And what about the south elevation? I don't, we didn't receive anything on that?
No.
Other than the plain drawing?
Yeah,
Okay.
just the line drawings, which...
Okay. Now a technical question with regard to our code. Design review, what are the code requirements for notification of neighbors and signage at the present time for design review?
At the present time, there is no notification required for design review of the neighbors like we would in a zone change or a conditional use permit, where we notify those property owners within a 300-foot radius. That is not required for design review. As well, we do not post the site for design review, so the adjacent properties or somebody else would have to be aware of looking at the agenda, looking online at the website to know what is being decided.
Okay. It's a discussion for another night, but how many neighbors have contacted you? Anybody?
I haven't been contacted.
Do you think anybody's, I question whether anybody's aware of this. I mean, you look at the agenda, who would look at the agenda unless you specifically knew there was something coming up in your neighborhood, at least, without signage, whatever. Okay, that's just for information purposes for everybody on this particular building. Other than that, I don't have any other technical questions. Commissioner Shreve, you have any technical questions of Jim? We'll also be talking to the owner and the architect.
I assume the building is going to be well soundproofed so that activity is not going to disturb anyone. I mean, I assume this back building, the back area of the building is more the stage area where the use of the building would be recording music venues or...
We'd have to ask the applicant and the owner exactly how they intend to use the different spaces within their floor plan.
As a drummer myself, I know how loud it can get.
Okay.
Right.
We'll wait till the applicant comes up and he can address that.
Sure. Anything else, sir? Hey, Commissioner Kling, any?
I may be overlooking it. I just was curious. I'm seeing no windows. I see doors. Is there any windows? Aren't there?
I think most of those are windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's blazing.
I wasn't sure. if that was panels or, I see it now.
Yeah.
The gray.
Okay. Commissioner Garrison, any technical questions of Jim?
No, sir, thank you.
All right, Vice Chair. Okay, I'm fine with that. Who's here to speak on behalf of the applicant?
We have both the architect, Dan Serber, and the property owner, Sor Harris.
All right.
Are both here this evening. So if you have any technical questions or the other questions you had on the use, they're available.
All right, yes, sir. Will you both come onto the podium and, yeah. And your name for the record, please.
My name is Sor Harris.
And you're the owner, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for having us as a company. So I just want to explain a couple of things because it's very easy to misunderstand what's going on here. So this is a studio for media. What that means basically is, you know how in the past you had radio, TV, stuff like that, right? Now it's all one big thing. It's through the internet and whatnot. So what does that mean? That means that we have a front office, which is the area, if I could show it in the, oh, thank you. Center. All right, so this is the front office. This would be 2 stories high, and it would be basically office for creative work. So you can think of video editing or, you know, processing or writing or anything like that. The back area here, this is a big area that you can see here. This kind of looks like just one big area that has no real light source from it or windows in it because you want to control the light. That's the whole purpose of a studio, to control the light. So you need about 2 stories high to be able to put the lights. You can't put like somebody's talking and you can't put the light right on him. Now, as far as the other aspect, which is noise, let me just say that it's quite the reverse. And so instead of searching for a lot of noise, we want to do the reverse. So imagine if you're shooting a scene of dialogue between 2 people, and the last thing you want is noise. So we're quite the reverse. We're not making noise and we're trying to keep noise out. So it would be, noise-wise, it wouldn't be a problem. We would actually try to keep even the noise that's coming from Cove from entering the studio. There would be no noise whatsoever leaving the studio. This area here, the one that's used for the studio, is just a big empty space which can be arranged for lights, for cameras, for equipment. The front area is just regular offices which is used for creative work.
Very good. Commissioner Shreve, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Anybody else?
Commissioner Kling, anybody? Mr. Garrison, Commissioner Garrison, any questions of the owner?
No questions for the applicant, thank you.
Okay. Vice Chair?
If you don't mind me asking, how long has this been in development?
This has been in development since late last 2000, so 2021, 2020. So one year, to think about it. Okay. We were thinking of doing it in New York, but we actually like Cottonwood. And we've been to the area many times, me and my wife, which in the business, so we love the area, and we also thought that it would be a great way to bring a business here. It would certainly be a very interesting business, and it would be something very interesting that we feel we could also hire people from the area for different things that we would need. Just so you know, usually for this, we would have like 9-10 employees, and on shooting days, that's, by the way, that's 9 to 5 schedule. Weekdays, shooting days, you might go up to like 17, 18. You might need crew or something like that. Shooting days happen like maybe 2-3 times a month. Those are the hours between 9 and 5, 6.
Okay. What could this building be used as an alternative use to say your business plan doesn't work? Is it convertible to many other uses in your?
It's a huge building. It would be
Yeah.
convertible to a lot of things, but yeah, I don't think from our purpose, from our
Right.
point of view. it's not going to be used for other uses because we're intended making a media studio. I've
Yeah.
worked with MTV, I've worked with a lot of things, and I know what I'm doing, so. But yes, it could, like, for, let's say, something happens tomorrow and we need to change it. It's a huge building. It's well-structured. It has, another thing which I wanted to mention is that we're going to be bringing at our expense a digital line of digital internet to the Cove Parkway, which doesn't exist right now according to Sparklight. And we have to pay for it, which will also extend to our neighbors later on, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be good. Okay, that's the main question I had. The architect, you need a, sir, and your name, sir, for the record.
Dan Serber, architect.
Right.
Just to talk about materials for a second, and kind of the reasoning behind the metal building is you can span a greater span and create the 24-foot high media area. So that's kind of what took us to that area, but it does have a palette of materials where we'll have a stucco wainscot on the building, stucco columns, and then the studio area, which is the high with no windows, that's going to be more of a rustic steel panel look. And then the two-story office area will be a different texture paneling, which will have, you know, ins and outs, so it gives you a texture. And then the different colors also, I think if you've seen the medical health center over in Camp Verde, it has a rustic panel on the same kind of structure. So you do have a diversity of materials there that breaks up the facade. So, and then any other questions I can answer.
When you say rustic, do you mean Cortend?
It's going to be more, and the color is within the metal. It's not painted or anything. So it's not a Corten. It's a metal panel that looks like rustic Corten, basically. So.
Okay. Any other questions? The architect with the design, exterior design?
No, I'm good.
Commissioner Kling, any? Commissioner Garrison, do you have any questions of the architect regarding the exterior design?
No questions, sir.
Okay. Any other questions, Ms. Vice Chairman?
I guess my main question is, you probably heard earlier before the meeting took off, we had a very short discussion just about the monumentalness of the building itself and how it would look next to its neighbors. And so I guess my question for you is, if we said, you know, you don't need to make the building smaller, but you need to make the building feel smaller, what would be your approach to doing that on the facade?
I think, you know, right now we're using a lot of landscape to break down the facade with the parking, and then this facade here, I have some taller tree, Arizona cypress. Potentially we could, you know, create some shade, you know, different planes, I guess, of materials where it would break it down a little bit. But the reasoning behind the height there is the studio area where they need a 24-foot high ceiling, basically. So, you know, I think just softening it with the different materials and the vegetation, that was our intent to try to break down the massing, and then to put the covered area in front, which breaks down that massing also, cuts it in half, basically. So, I mean, we possibly could add some more lower covered area to break down that facade.
I was going to suggest, could you take the overhang and bring it around, just to sort of...
I mean, we could discuss it with my client and see, I mean, if that's a...
I know that's money.
But it's, was the reasoning behind the covered area there that we do have, is to emphasize the entrance and to break down that facade. So, and we do have a horizontal band that kind of breaks down that 2-story space, which would be the same kind of material as the rustic that will continue around the building. So.
And then just for that stucco, that lower stucco area, does that match the stucco on the neighboring buildings?
It matches with the texture and the look of it. It won't be the same color, but yes, it's the stucco, basically. I mean, we could stucco more of the building too, but again, this material and this look kind of fit the use of this structure in our mind anyway, so. But we will have stucco, basically, just a darker color, basically, so.
I mean, I'm going to interject a little bit of opinion here. I think it's okay that the building looks different, is stylistically different. I just think it needs to also pull from its neighbors a little bit more so that it feels like a continuation or even a tangent from what's there. And that also will prevent us from hearing, and you, from neighbors who are unhappy after the fact. So I would suggest consider using the stucco. You already have stucco, so use the stucco color there. And then I just do something else to bring down that. I see you making an effort, but bring down that eye line a little bit more. Especially on the north elevation.
Okay.
Okay, any other, no, I think they've heard my concerns, the front end of this. I'm just concerned about how it fits in this particular neighborhood. And that's what our design review is. We try to be as compatible as possible. You know, we don't want everything to look alike.
Right.
I'm tired of stucco and tile roofs and things, to a 2 degrees. So I think that the concept is really good. I don't have a problem with the basic building. It's just personally the material, and that can be overcome because I've seen metal buildings where you really couldn't even tell they were a metal building when they got through with the construction of it. So, and not that you need to cover it all up, but the north and the west and the south elevations, I think, we just need to look at that. Okay, sir, thank you very much. All right, anybody else want to speak? I don't see anybody. I'm going to close the floor to the public. What are your wishes on this particular? We have 3 options. We can entertain a motion to approve as submitted, and we can add some stipulations if we want to do that. We can also entertain a motion if we're unhappy with it to deny it, or we like the project and whatever, we want to keep it going. We could entertain a motion to table this to give the owner and the architect a chance to come back with us at another meeting to
New facade.
with a new facade or some modification of this. It's up to you all. Commissioner Shreve, what's your, we'll go sort of based on the consensus of what I'm hearing, I think.
If I were to go from my own architectural cues and likes and dislikes, I almost feel like the building is on the property sideways. The west elevation, which is the front elevation that faces Cove Parkway, is that correct? It almost looks like the side of the building to me. And the north elevation looks like the front of the building. Now, the lot may not permit the building to be turned 90 degrees, but if it were me drawing it and designing it, I think I'd turn the building 90 degrees because that doesn't look like the front of a building to me, the west elevation. The north elevation looks more like the front of a building that should be facing the street. Again, it's my only opinion. I do believe with the chairman that the building needs to fit on the street and not look like an afterthought. I like metal buildings. I think they have a place in the modernization of the look of the town. But again, that west elevation to me, is that a garage door in the center of the building? Is that a raising, or is that just a panel to break up that?
It's a garage door.
You want to come back to the microphone real quick? I'm sorry.
So again-
We were recording this and we're on television too.
It's an entry door for, when they do have productions where they have to bring things in and so forth. And
So do you see why that looks like the side of the building to me, where you would be loading a truck and maybe, and again, I'm not here to change the whole project, I'm just giving you my opinion. The west elevation the building I think would do better turned on the property and making the north elevation what faces Cove Parkway. Any comments?
Commissioner Kling, what's your,
I don't object to what you're mentioning.
be sure to talk in your mic real quick.
I like metal buildings too, and I think there's a place for it. I just don't know if we're going to see pushback from the neighbors if this erects suddenly. Because it is so different.
Got to press your button.
That's all.
Okay. Commissioner Garrison, comments, sir, your feelings.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm going to disagree a little bit with some of what's been said before. I actually applaud the designer with his choice of materials and design. This owner has come to the city with a very specific building that needs to be developed for his purpose. And instead of just building another box like we have to the north with the shopping center, or another two-story Mediterranean stucco structure like we have to the west, they've come up with something that I think is going to add some flair to the neighborhood. It's going to be highly visible driving down Via. It's going to add a new element of texture and style to that area. The land behind it is agriculture, so we're not affecting a neighborhood, and I just don't think we need another building in this neighborhood that's Mediterranean stucco. I think we have enough of that, and I'm really looking forward to the use of materials. As was stated, there's several buildings that have gone up recently. The medical building in Camp Verde is a good example of something that was very out of the box and very utilitarian, yet leaves that neighborhood looking much better. The new Marriott that's going in on the corner of 6th, they're using some very interesting metallized paneling and different architectural features to break up what is ultimately a big box. And so I really like the design. The garage door out front is kind of funky, but keep in mind that this building has a purpose, and it's in an industrial area, and it's going to be a good addition to the neighborhood at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm looking forward to this project moving forward as presented. Thank you.
Vice Chair.
All right. I think that maybe, despite the fact that I've nitpicked you quite a lot, I should express that I am generally in favor of this. I am generally in favor of this building, and I want to be super clear about that. However, I do have my concerns about the monumental stuff and about the neighborhood fixture. I do think it's interesting the way that the commission is split today. This actually doesn't happen super often. I kind of like the back and forth. I think it's a good sign for the community. I disagree with some of my fellow commissioners about the garage door. I actually think it's fine. I think it helps to break up the building, which is the main thing that is my concern. I think a lot of what I said could be addressed with just bringing an overhang around, or even like a color change, like a slight pop out and a color change. I don't know. I don't want to be too prescriptive, I would not be against, just to my chairman, I would not be against tabling this today and giving the applicant time to come back with some minor facade changes. I'm sort of shifting as we're talking. I would not be against passing or voting to pass this through today with design revisions suggested and accepted. So I'm kind of in between right now.
Could that garage door, another door, be put around to the south side of the building, where you come in that easement as opposed to the front?
Definitely. I think that's a very good, we could definitely do that.
Yeah, I think that would help loosen that a little bit of that industrial.
I understand what the commission is dealing with. I also wanted to say that we looked at panels that were very, I don't know if we had a chance to present them here, but they were very non-metal building, because I understand the problem
Yeah.
here. It looks very metalish and whatever. It's not going to look like that at all. The panels are much more
Yeah.
well-refined and modern, and not, it's not like a
Yeah.
big metal building.
At the airport.
We don't want that either. As a sort of like a creative, in the creative business, you don't want to put something that's ugly out there. So
Right.
we looked for really nice stuff. So believe me, this will look, the actual facade of it will look nice. It won't look,
Yeah.
it will not resemble.
Yeah, yeah. The basic design, I don't have a problem. I agree with Commissioner Garrison on, we don't need a whole lot more stucco buildings and things like that. I'm just concerned a little bit about the compatibility. And again, you can use metal and do some really good things with it. And we don't have the materials here and the different sightings to look
Yeah.
at, which would have been helpful on that. I think we could have a stipulation to move that garage door. And what else do we want to make? Maybe stipulations, we could go ahead and do an approval tonight with some stipulations.
Is there anything else besides the garage door?
Well, did you have some?
I'd like them to match the stucco on the neighboring buildings in the bottom part.
All right, well,
I'm just writing it.
okay. We're writing down maybe some stipulations that we could go ahead and we'll have a vote and we'll see how it all turns out. But
Thank you. Very much appreciated.
because we like to move projects along. We don't want to be here to keep delaying. You've been working
The
a long
same way,
time.
because I just flew from New York at the last second, so it just,
All right. Well, you might want to stay a while. It's getting cold back there.
yeah.
All right. Yes, Mr.
If I can
Penn.
just make a suggestion on how, going ahead and if you did approve it tonight with the stipulations, we could always come back January or the next meeting. They have to submit their building plans to the, and go into more detail of the actual structure. So at some point, we could bring back to you just as an informal presentation of the changes that are being
Yeah,
incorporated.
yeah,
into
the
this.
staff-
And that allows them to go ahead and move
Wait, sure.
forward with the
No.
technical.
No, we leave that up to
structural
staff, if we did, make sure we're in compliance there, and that would be good.
All right. Ready to go?
All right, I think we're ready for a motion. I would think we're ready for a motion for approval with some stipulations. Go ahead and we'll try that first and see how that goes.
I move to approve DR 21-011 for Resonator Inc. to construct a 7,040 square foot metal building for a new media studio at 711 Cove Parkway, subject to the following stipulations. The project shall be developed in conformance with the site plan submitted with this application and reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission on December 6, 2021. The project shall comply with Code Review Board requirements dated March 24, 2021. 3. Parking for the project, including bicycle parking, shall be provided in conformance with Zoning Ordinance Section 406, Parking and Loading Requirements. 4. All work within the city rights-of-way, including landscaping, shall require a permit from the City Engineering Department. 5. The project shall be developed in conformance with the zoning ordinance, section 407, landscaping requirements. 6, Signs shall require separate permits and meet the standards of zoning ordinance section 405. 7. A certificate of zoning compliance documenting the completion of conditions shall be issued within 24 months from the date of this approval. 8. The garage door shown in the plans shall be moved from the west elevation to an alternative elevation as determined by the applicant. 9.
Excuse me.
Nope.
Can
Yeah?
can I break in for an amendment? I think you'd want it on the south side because you've got that easement.
The garage door would only need to be in the main shooting area, which is the dark red one.
Yeah, so they could be on the south, that would be the side of that building would be the south side.
You mean on the back sort of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, south. Let's designate the south side.
All right. The garage door shall be moved from the west elevation to the south elevation. 9. Any stucco included in the facade shall match surrounding structures.
Okay, do I have a second to that motion?
I second it.
Commissioner Shreve seconds the vice chair's motion. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Garrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Shreve?
Aye.
Commissioner Kling? Vice Chair Maston?
Aye.
Chairman Williams?
Aye. Okay, good luck. We're anxious to see it go. All right, thank you.
Everybody is really very nice and kind, but I have to say, because I deal with a lot of different stuff, so you people are great.
Oh, thank you. We try.
We appreciate your consideration. Thank you. All right. All we've got left now are some discussion items. Anything else that we need to do? We've got some things coming up in future meetings. January and February might be a little busy, hopefully.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, as usual.
As usual. Good. Get the new year off to start. Also, next month is the election month for chair and vice chair, so if you have any ideas, we'll be open to nominations and voting on that, just as a matter of information. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I moved it, okay. Chairman moved it, vice chair seconded. All in favor?
Aye. We're out.
All right, good.